Good evening. Welcome to Kenya News Update today. I'm your host, and tonight we're diving into a story that's reverberating across the globe, from Washington to Nairobi, and touching on figures of immense power and influence. The latest release of documents related to the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has unearthed a startling new allegation. According to an FBI document, a former Florida police chief claims that in 2006, Donald Trump, now serving his second term as President of the United States, told him that everyone knew about Epstein's predatory behavior. This claim, if true, directly contradicts President Trump's long-standing public position that he was unaware of the extent of Epstein's crimes. Tonight, we will unpack this document, examine its credibility, explore the historical context of the Epstein case, and analyze the potential political and legal ramifications. We'll also consider what this says about the circles of power and the accountability of the elite. This is a 12-minute deep dive. Let's begin with the document itself. It is a written record, known as a 302 form, of a 2019 FBI interview with Michael Reiter, who served as the police chief of Palm Beach, Florida, from 2002 to 2009. According to this record, Chief Reiter alleges that in the spring of 2006, shortly after his department launched a criminal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, he received a phone call. The caller identified himself as Donald Trump. Trump, then a prominent New York real estate developer and television personality, reportedly told Reiter, and I quote, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this for years." The key phrase here is everyone has known. This is a profound statement. It suggests not just casual awareness, but widespread, tacit knowledge within certain social circles about Epstein's activities involving underage girls. The FBI agent documented this allegation in the official file. It's crucial to note this is an allegation from a single source, recorded years after the alleged call took place. The document was released this week as part of a massive, court-ordered disclosure of Epstein-related materials under the bipartisan Epstein Victims' Rights Act signed into law in 2022. To understand the weight of this allegation, we need to rewind to 2005 and 2006. The Palm Beach Police Department investigation began after a 14-year-old girl and her parents reported that Epstein had molested her at his oceanfront mansion. The police investigation was extensive. Detectives identified over 30 potential victims, all teenage girls, and gathered substantial evidence. However, the case took a controversial turn. In 2006, it was handed over to federal prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida. What followed was one of the most infamous plea deals in modern American legal history. In 2008, federal prosecutors, led then by Alexander Acosta, negotiated a non-prosecution agreement with Epstein. He pleaded guilty to 2 state prostitution charges, served just 13 months in a private wing of a county jail with work release privileges, and was required to register as a sex offender. Critically, the federal agreement immunized Epstein from more serious federal charges and also shielded any potential co-conspirators. This deal was widely condemned as a miscarriage of justice and a prime example of wealth and influence circumventing the legal system. It was this initial Palm Beach investigation that Michael Reiter was overseeing when he claims Donald Trump called him. Now, let's examine the credibility of the source. Michael Reiter is a respected law enforcement veteran with a 35-year career. He led the Palm Beach Police Department during a tumultuous period and was known for his integrity. He retired in 2009 and later became a security consultant. He has no publicly known history of partisan political activity. In his 2019 FBI interview, he was reportedly a cooperative witness. The Justice Department, however, has provided a cautious response. In a statement to the BBC, a department official said, "We are not aware of any corroborating evidence that the president contacted law enforcement 20 years ago." This is a standard, non-committal response that neither confirms nor denies the allegation. It simply states a lack of corroborating evidence at this time. The absence of a phone record or a contemporaneous memo from 2006 does not mean the call didn't happen, but it does mean the allegation rests solely on Reiter's recollection, documented 13 years later. This leads us to the central figure, Donald Trump. President Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein has been a subject of public curiosity for decades. They moved in similar social circles in New York and Florida in the 1990s and early 2000s. There are photographs of them together at parties. Trump himself gave a quote to New York Magazine in 2002, saying, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. Trump has repeatedly distanced himself from Epstein in recent years, stating he had a falling out with him years ago and was not a friend. Most significantly, he has consistently maintained he was unaware of Epstein's criminal behavior. In 2019, he told reporters, "I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I was not a fan of his." The allegation from Chief Reiter, if true, directly challenges that narrative. It paints a picture of a Donald Trump who was not only aware but believed that awareness was common knowledge. We must also consider the political context. Donald Trump is currently the President of the United States, having been re-elected in November 2024. Any allegation linking him to prior knowledge of a major sex trafficking case is politically explosive. His supporters are likely to dismiss the document as part of a continued politically motivated effort to undermine him, pointing to the timing of its release. His critics will see it as further evidence of a pattern. It's important to analyze the partisan breakdown of reactions. A recent poll by the Pew Research Center, conducted just last month, shows how polarized American views are on matters related to the president's past associations. When asked about the credibility of allegations against powerful figures, the divide is stark. For instance, 78% of self-identified Democrats say they find allegations from law enforcement officials very or somewhat credible in such contexts. Among Republicans, that figure drops to just 32%. This polarization frames how this new information will be received. Beyond the American political sphere, this story touches on universal themes of power, privilege, and justice. The Epstein case is not just an American scandal, it's a global one. Epstein had homes in New York, Florida, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Paris. His private jet, dubbed the Lolita Express, logged flights to various international locations. His associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, is a British socialite currently serving a 20-year prison sentence for her role in Epstein's scheme. The released documents have also placed pressure on other prominent figures from business, politics, and academia, though many are named in contexts that do not allege criminal wrongdoing. The narrative of everyone knew speaks to a culture of impunity, where horrific acts are whispered about but not acted upon by those with the power to do so. This is a dynamic that resonates far beyond Palm Beach or Mar-a-Lago. It's a story about what happens when immense wealth and social status create a shield against accountability. Let's look at some key numbers from the broader Epstein case to understand its scale. The 2005-2006 Palm Beach police investigation identified over 30 potential victims. By the time of Epstein's 2019 federal indictment in New York, prosecutors had compiled evidence involving dozens of victims, with the abuse spanning from at least 2002 to 2005. The non-prosecution agreement from 2008, which we mentioned earlier, specifically protected Epstein from federal charges that could have carried a potential maximum sentence of life imprisonment. Instead, his state plea deal resulted in a sentence of just 18 months, of which he served 13. The financial cost of the investigations and litigation has been immense. The Epstein estate, after his death by suicide in a Manhattan jail in 2019, established a victim compensation fund. That fund ultimately paid out over $121 million to approximately 138 claimants. These numbers illustrate the tragic human cost and the systemic failures that allowed the abuse to continue for years. Returning to the 2006 allegation, what are the possible legal implications for President Trump? In a direct sense, likely none. The allegation describes a phone call expressing support for a police investigation. There is no suggestion in the document that Trump was involved in any criminal activity himself or obstructed justice. The call, as described, would be a citizen commending law enforcement. The significance is political and reputational, not legal. It feeds into a broader narrative about his associations and his truthfulness. However, the release of these documents does keep the Epstein case in the public eye and maintains pressure on the Justice Department to pursue all avenues of investigation, particularly regarding any other powerful individuals who may have been involved. Bipartisan law that forced this document release shows that public demand for transparency in this case crosses party lines. As we conclude, it's worth reflecting on what stories like this mean for public trust in institutions. When allegations surface that those at the highest levels of society were aware of heinous crimes and did nothing, or worse, it erodes faith in the system. The Epstein case, with its tangled web of wealth, celebrity, and political connections, has become a symbol of that erosion. The new allegation about Donald Trump adds another layer to this complex and dark chapter. Whether it stands as a credible historical footnote or becomes a significant part of the Trump legacy will depend on future revelations, corroborating evidence, and the relentless scrutiny of a free press. From our perspective here in Kenya, it serves as a powerful reminder that accountability must be blind to wealth and status, and that justice delayed for the powerful is still justice denied for the victims. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We've examined the FBI document, the history of the Epstein case, the credibility of the source, and the political fallout. This is a developing story, and we will continue to follow it. For now, this is Kenya News Update Today, signing off. Subscribe to Kenya News Update Today for more in-depth reporting on the stories that shape our world.